Hi friends, happy Story Kit Crush Friday. So we're moving right along into the Learn Story Kit. So Krystal and I spent a solid month crushing the Habit Story Kit, which was so much fun, and we are moving on and crushing the Learn Story Kit. So my first project for the Learn Story Kit is going to be kind of a waterfall flip out page. Krystal had this great idea to ask Allie to do, hold on, I just need to score this. Krystal had this great idea to ask Allie to do this kind of digital art for us that said hindsight is 2020, and we were going to tell stories about what we've learned this year so far. One of my favorite things about Allie's story kits is how universal the themes are. Like, they don't necessarily, like, you think learn, and I'm sure everybody's like, all right, so what did I learn in school? What did I learn to do? What did I learn today? But it's such an open theme because the thing is, you never stop learning, right? Like, I guess the only time you stop learning is if you stop living. But as long as you're still living, you never stop learning. And so we're telling stories today. This is actually Krystal's idea. I just piggybacked off of it. But we're telling stories today about what we've learned this year. So I've done a little bit of hybrid work in advance. So this was a 4x6 card. Here's the card. I repeated the card and took the opacity down to, like, I think 40, so it wasn't super punchy and bright. This is also a 3x4 card, actually, that I put some of my words on, and this was also a 3x4 card, and then this is the digital, what this year is teaching me. And I was super inspired by this weird solar flare that I had in this photo, but it looked like there was a rainbow on my chest. And I was like, since there's a rainbow on my chest and the Learn Story Kit is so stinking colorful, then I am going with it. So we're going to do some ink blending really quickly, because here is the other piece that she designed for us, and it says hindsight is 2020, which isn't that the truth? It's kind of perfect because, I mean, like, hindsight is 2020, like 2020 vision, like our vision's perfect in hindsight, but also hindsight is 2020 for this year. It was kind of the perfect theme. Major kudos to Krystal for coming up with this. So I am just going to do some ink blending in a rainbow to kind of match the rainbow color scheme. So I'm pulling out some distress inks, and I'm just going to go, I'm working right off my silhouette matte because it's easier for me to do the blending if it's still in the, sorry, I can't talk and blend, but it's easier for me to do the blending if it's still part of the piece, right? So if I like try to take this apart and then do the ink blending, I think I would really struggle, but it is much easier to do it this way. So I haven't decided if I'm going to skip this in the editing video or talk through it, but I'll tell you what colors I'm using. So I started with Pink Raspberry. This is Crackling Campfire. This is the newest color that Tim released, and I'm just going to do this in a diagonal. So we're going to go pink, orange, yellow, blue and green. Yeah. And so what I'm doing is I'm blending, and then I'm just going between the colors where they mix, and then like taking off any extra ink off my brush, and then just kind of like fussing between where the colors mix, just so I get a really soft blend, and then just going back and forth between that pink and that orange. So there is, and it looks really like crazy right now because it's messy, obviously, but I promise you when this is all taken apart, it's gonna look great. So now we're going into mustard seed, and I guess I'll talk through this. You guys will just watch me do ink blending in real time. But so the story I decided to tell about what 2020 has taught me is the story I'm telling myself. That's one of the themes that's in Allie's One Little Word workshop, is the stories that we tell ourselves and how that changes. And I'm pretty self-aware, I think, as a human. As far as humans go, I think I'm pretty self-aware. But I gotta tell you, quarantine did a number on me. Like, I'm totally okay with admitting that I did not do well. This is Mowed lawn, by the way. This is my green. Quarantine did a number on me, and all the stories that I told myself and all the things that I thought I knew were true didn't feel true anymore. And so I just had to do like some work, right? And find what I knew to be true again. Because these things don't stop being true because we're faced with adversity. Like the things that we know are true are still true. It's just sometimes life tries to rock the foundations that we have. And 2020 has definitely done that. Just being 100% transparent, you know, and showing up. So this blue is Mermaid Lagoon. And I'm going to blend this right into the green. And then that's it. And then we'll take this off of our mat and we will get back to the process. So that's what I did in my journaling. I talked, and I'll read a little bit of it to you. It's kind of long. I am very wordy, so I won't bore you with all of it, but I'll read a little bit of it to you. But there is my rainbow die cut. We are going to take it off. Now I have a new mat. This is a new mat, and new mats stress me out so badly. So I am not going to leave this footage in because this is going to take forever, but I'm going to take this off slowly and I'll come back when I have my complete piece. Okay guys, so here is my die cut after I've taken off all the extra piece. I am just slowly using a spatula to lift this off my mat because like I said, it's a newer mat. I think I've only used it like 3 or 4 times. And if you've ever used a new silhouette mat, you know that it is equal parts the best and the worst thing. Because you get like super clean cuts, but man, everything, like it is hard to get intricate pieces off of this. So I'm just using a spatula, and I'm actually going to use a card maker's technique, like a card maker's hack, I guess, to get this arranged, because one of the things I've learned, that's kind of punny, isn't it? Right? That we're talking about learning. But one of the things I've learned recently was about press and seal. And I didn't think it was going to work, but it works really well. So we're going to use a little bit of press and seal. Man, my stuff's a mess. But we're going to use a little bit of press and seal to help me arrange this on my cardstock that I'm going to stick this down to. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of this, get my piece kind of situated, and then I'll come right back. So here is my title, which is Hindsight is 2020. The other awesome part of having a new mat is this is actually kind of sticky in and of itself, so I don't have to do much. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick some press and seal, sticky side down, right onto this. And then I'll be able to pick the whole thing up. So I'm just going to stick this down. I'll be able to pick this off. Nope, it's not cooperating today. Yeah, so I'll be able to pick this right off. I want to make sure I get a good seal on this. And this works really well if you're doing like intricate die cut pieces, but it's going to work for this because I want to be able to glue this back down exactly where I have it on my piece. And because this is a really intricate like die cut, it'll be easier for me to just put the glue down flat and then stick this on to my cardstock title. Now I played around with the idea of popping this up on foam, but it is just too skinny to do this. And as far as I know, Allie is going to be sharing this in the Craft the Story Facebook group. So if this is something that you are interested in, pop over there. I will link it in the description box. If I get the file, I'll be able to link it in the description box for you. But I like this Hindsight is 2020 piece, and it says what I've learned this year. You can use it as a digital stamp. You can cut it out the way I did. All right, so here we go. Moment of truth. So we're going to just put this down, kind of situate this where I like it, which is kind of centered. All right, so it's pretty centered. We're gonna stick this down. And the other thing is it makes sure that I have the is piece like in perfect position in relation to the other pieces. You're gonna press it down, lift this press and seal up, and there it goes. It comes right off. Now I just need my dots for my eyes, and then we're done with this crafty part. So I'm gonna quickly stick my dots for my eyes down. I am like all over the place today. This is part of my favorite parts of doing Story Kit Crush videos like this though, is you guys are literally watching me do this stuff in real time. And I do this, so I could edit these videos down, but I kind of want to leave it this way because I want you to see that it doesn't take a long, like you don't have to invest hours in getting a story told. You can literally do this in like 20 minutes. So I'm gonna quickly glue these dots on, and then we're gonna start building our page. And then from there, it's just a matter of reading you my journaling, maybe adding a few embellishments, and we are all done. All right, so here's where we are. So I have my Hindsight piece ready. I'm just gonna fix this seam. So I finally invested in a Teflon bone folder. I've watched way too many card videos, you guys. That's what my life is. I've just watched way too many card videos, and all of them believe in Teflon bone folders, and I finally invested in one, and this thing is like life-changing. Like, my seams have never been so neat. All right, so for the assembling part, we are just going to stick these bits down. So I'm going to pull out my trusty T-square, and I'm going to stick these down. So I left a 2-inch flap on each of these to just make sure that this is going to be pretty secure, because this is going to live outside the page protector. Also, I made sure to punch my holes in advance because I wanted to make sure that when I started sticking things down, I wouldn't be like ruining the page protector. I mean, ruining where the holes go. So we're going to just stick this down. And also my pieces are each 1.5 inch taller than the previous one. So I want to make sure that they line up like this. So they sit inside each other, but you still see a little bit of see, there we go. That works perfectly. Okay, good. So the goal is that they sit inside each other, and that 1.5 inches off the piece, like the next piece, is still exposed. And then I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to put tab stickers on it. But they're all 6 inches wide to ensure that they would not be any wider than my base piece. So they're all 6 inches wide. And I'm just sticking these down with a little bit of tape runner. So yeah, tips for this. If you're going to do a project like this, punch your holes in advance, just to make sure that you have enough space. And there we go. Now you can still see that Never Stop Learning piece that I made for my, there we go. That looks super good. And you still see this Never Stop Learning piece that I made for my background paper, which was intentional. Like, it's not like I ran out of space. I did want the background paper to have a little bit of room, but now that I'm looking at this, I kind of want to move the whole thing down a little bit. So I might actually move the whole thing down a tiny bit. The good thing about the tape runner versus like a wet glue is it does give you like wiggle room, and I need wiggle room because I am incredibly indecisive. So I need the wiggle room. So you do have an extra like minute or so before this completely sets that you can pick your stuff up and move it. And I gotta say, I like it so much a little bit further down. I'm glad I did that. And there's no like adhesive across the top of my page, so that's not going to stick. I like that so much more a little bit further down. So there we go. So that's what the pages are going to look like side by side. This is going to flip up. There's some story. This flips up. There's more. And this is the rest of my story. I'm actually going to glue this whole thing down so that this doesn't lift up, because this isn't supposed to lift up. So we're just going to glue this whole thing down. And by gluing this whole thing down, it also reinforces all of the seams for my top two pieces. And I'm just double checking that it's straight a million times. I know it's straight, but I'm going to just keep double checking it. Okay. And also, there we go. So this rainbow piece that I made, I used it by picking the colors in this card. So I just used the color picker tool in Photoshop, picked the colors, and then color that piece. And that's also the color palette that I based my die cut that I colored here. Just gonna hit this seam a few more times so it sits kind of flat. And it'll sit flat in the album, obviously, after it's closed for a few days, it'll sit flat. So just gonna hit that a few times. Perfect. Now it's just a matter of embellishing it. So like literally the construction of this took probably 10 minutes tops. I spent more time doing the coloring than actually constructing the page. Now I've actually broken into my Learn Story Kit, so I'm missing a few chipboard pieces. I had more than enough of it to crush it for Story Kit Crush, but I definitely broke into it and I'd done a few projects with it. I really liked the Learn Story Kit because I like anything that's rainbow. So I was very excited for this one. All right, so I've just put that chipboard piece that says Getting the Hang of Life up top. And I'm trying to decide if what chipboard I want to do here. Smarty Pants, Smart is cool. Love this, more. Let's see. The good thing about chipboard is you can pop it out and just try it on. So we're just going to pop these two pieces out, try them on. I kind of like those two. And then maybe this orange banner, so totally awesome. Like, I actually really like that. All right, I'm just gonna go with that. The other reason that part of the other reason that I record this is I just want you to see that you don't have to like second guess every decision you make. You can kind of just stick things down. Like, the world doesn't end if you use a piece of chipboard that you really love on, I think, I was watching Laura and Lisa do a December Daily Live, and they were talking about like using like the best piece of like, the best embellishment ever on like a Taco Tuesday layout. And the world doesn't end if you like stop hoarding your embellishments. So you guys, stop hoarding your embellishments and use them. Put them on pages. The other thing that the Learn Story Kit came with were these white chipboard stickers, and they're all like little sentiments about learning. So I put the one that says big lessons learned here, and I think I'm gonna go with this one that says never stop learning on the bottom of my journaling. And that's it. That's my project for Story Kit Crush Fridays. I am really fond of how this came out. I think it's super bright and it's super colorful. Yeah, and it was a little bit of an adventure to get here, but I love the coloring on the die cut and how it's repeated in this sentiment on the bottom. Yeah, I'm really a big fan. So I'll just read you a little bit of my journaling because it's really long. So it just says, here is a lesson that I have learned and found myself coming back to over and over. Hindsight is equal parts gifts and curse. Just months out from March and the decade that was April, I have learned that the things I thought were no longer true are still true. I have learned that I was not robbed of my voice and that I still have the ability to raise it when it matters. I have learned that grace and love and light are more than just words. They are tangible evidence of a God who sees and who knows and who cares. I have learned that there is always room for my gifts to carve out a space to grow and expand. I have learned the power of community and how to grab onto it and hold it tight. I have learned not to wonder or question what life would have been like if I had remembered these lessons in the dark places. On quiet nights when it is just me and the starlight and my anxiety gets the best of me, I wonder what other lessons 2020 has in store for me. I wonder if my open hands and open heart are ready to receive it. I wonder what stories I will tell myself when this whole year is behind me and I have the gift and curse of hindsight. Then I remember to breathe, to pause, and to be present, and my gentle heart once again resumes its old brag. I am. And that's the bottom half of my story. I will include pictures if you want to read the rest of it, and I'll of course post pictures on Instagram. But I'm really fond of the colors I use here and how the colors in the layout match the solar flare on my photo and how it helps me tell a colorful story. So I hope you enjoyed this process. I hope it inspired you to tell a story of something that 2020 is teaching you. Don't forget to head over to Krystal's channel. Her channel is always linked in the description box. Don't forget to head over to Krystal's channel to see what she's making this week. And to see how she's using this same lens to tell her story. So that's all I have for you today, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're so inclined. Let me know what you thought about the project in the comments. Until next time, keep it crafty and have the very best day, and I will see you around. Bye!